Hey everybody, if you're new to Frostgrave or considering getting into the game, this video explains the basics you need to know to get started and answers the question of whether you need to play the original version before jumping into the second edition of Frostgrave. Hey everybody, I'm Alan with Bricks and Blocks Gaming, the channel that plays tabletop games using toy bricks and blocks and discusses the rules and strategies that build the foundation for those games. Be sure to check the description box below where you'll find timestamps for this video as well as links to some of our other Frostgrave content. This video is part of a new player series where I'll be explaining what you need to know to get started in the game, and though you won't need a rulebook to follow along with this video, there's definitely too much in that book for me to spoil everything here. So this video will just be discussing the basics of what Frostgrave is, why a new edition was released, the background story and setting for the game, and the materials you'll need to play the game. Now let's get to the bricks and blocks of what Frostgrave 2nd Edition is all about. Frostgrave is a miniature skirmish game focused around a wizard and their warband and their attempt to collect treasure from an ancient ruined city. You'll create your wizard by choosing their school of expertise, some starting spells, train an apprentice, and hire a group of 8 mercenaries to join you in your quests. Frostgrave is a head-to-head game designed for 2 or more players, though there are some supplements that have been released that allow for solo play. The game can be played as single one-off battles, or where it truly shines as a campaign, where you'll level up your wizard, establish a base, hire powerful soldiers, and gather loot to distribute among your warband members. The first edition of Frostgrave was written by Joseph A. McCullough and published by Osprey Games back in 2015. Since that time, a number of supplements have been released, some of which have introduced some new or refined rules, and an FAQ has been posted to address some balancing issues with the original game. The author decided to compile all of these changes, plus some others, into a new edition of the book released in August of 2020. An important thing to note is the new edition is compatible with almost all of the previously released supplements, and the most important thing is you do not need to know anything about the first edition to jump right into the second edition. The table of contents in the new book is laid out exactly the same as the original book, except for additions due to new rules or clarifications. And much of the book is word for word the same. So I think the second edition has the same level of entry difficulty as the first edition, which really isn't that high. It's a game that's simple enough to grasp the basics, yet has enough options and depth to create tough decisions for the experienced player. The story of the game takes place in what is known as Frostgrave. 1,000 years ago, the magic city of Felstad froze over, perhaps from a miscast spell by a powerful wizard. Now the city is thawing, and wizards from around the world are flocking to the icy ruins with the hope of collecting treasures and magic beyond anything they've ever known. But in the process, they'll have to battle equally greedy wizards, hungry monsters that roam the frozen wastelands, and powerful undead and magic creations that have awoken from their long, cold slumber. To play the game, you'll need the Frostgrave 2nd Edition book, a table to play on, miniatures, terrain, and a 20-sided die for each player. Frostgrave typically calls for a 3-foot by 3-foot table, though anything from 2x2 to 4x4 can work. Though the game is designed for 28mm miniatures, you're encouraged to use whatever models your playgroup agrees on, so you can mix and match models from different games, use folded cardstock like I did for my first game, or use something like Lego figures, which is how I play now. It is recommended that all players in a game have figures that are to the same scale to help balance certain gameplay aspects like line of sight. Terrain on your tabletop can also be whatever you'd like to use, whether that's actual miniature castles and cottages, or boxes, styrofoam, stacks of books, or toy bricks. The only dice you'll need to play are 20-sided dice or D20s. And most rolls are your d20 against your opponent's with some modifiers applied. And that's where the strength of the game lies, in the simplicity and randomness of the d20. Although strategy is essential to the game, you never really know what will happen in the frozen city when you're rolling a 20-sided die, which can lead to unexpected comebacks and turn of events, and it's that randomness and chance for success that keeps every turn exciting for all players. Once you do have everything you need to play the game, you're ready for one of the best parts about Frostgrave, which is creating and customizing the wizard that your adventures will focus on. And I'll be releasing a video about that process, as well as other important new player content that will be linked in the description box below and at the end of the video, once it's released. But if you have any questions about Frostgrave, you can leave those in the comments below, or you can go to the Frostgrave Facebook or Reddit site, where players like myself have asked questions and had responses from the community and from the author Joseph McCullough himself. I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to click like, add a comment, or subscribe so you can keep up with all the content that I'm releasing. And with that, I'm Alan with Bricks and Blocks Gaming, and I'll see you on the next video.